The 2011 Indy 500 was the 95th running of the race. It took place on Memorial Day long weekend, May 29th, 2011. The day was a hot and muggy one, which meant teams were going to be fighting for grip. A ton of people remember the finish of this race, and it's definitely one of the more memorable ones in Indy 500 history. Canadian Alex Tagliani was on pole for the race. The green flag would fly shortly after 12 p.m., and Scott Dixon would waste no time getting past Alex Tagliani.
The anniversary edition of the Indianapolis 500 is green! Scott Dixon takes the early lead. Oriol Servia into second. Third place is Alex Tagliani.
And Marty, a little bit of missed timing by Alex Tagliani down in turn 4. He tried to accelerate a bit too soon. He knew it, got off the gas, and gave Dixon a great run to turn 1.
Dario Franchitti, you saw him side by side with Will Power. He's now in front of him.
The first 20 laps of the race would go caution-free until Takuma Sato got into the outside wall, bringing an end to his day and bringing the yellow flag out on the racetrack.
For the first time, and Takuma Sato from Japan has hit the wall and has brought out our first caution. Right after Paul Tracy had brushed the wall as well. Saw Jimmy Vasser there, one of the co-owners of the team. Sato's damage is serious there. That's going to put him out for the day.
Everyone would come down pit road to make a pit stop, but unfortunately for Will Power, he would actually end up losing a left rear wheel, and he would exit the pits on 3 wheels.
Road, and he retains the lead. Marty?
Will Power, the 12 car, has no left rear tire. Tagliani wins the Sunoco Pace race off pit road, but this is the story right now. We talked about this. You cannot afford to make a mistake on pit road, and there is Will Power.
And that happens. That happens. When everybody, you just one poor judgment, and there goes your race.
We talked about the pressure not only in the drivers, but also on the crew. You have to have all those stops perfectly. The wheel does not get on right. The serviceman is actually waving his hand. Will Power is off and going, and unfortunately the wheel nut was not on.
And you saw that it ended up in another pit. We'll check and see if anybody was injured, but there is Will Power trying to limp his way around to get back in to get that 4th tire.
Will was able to make it around the track, put a new wheel on the car, and he was able to continue. The race would get restarted on lap 27, and it wouldn't take long for more drivers to find trouble. It was announced in the drivers' meeting that the field would actually line up double file on restarts, rather than the traditional single file line. And this made things a little interesting.
Guys, here we go. Will it work as they head towards turn number 1? It's Tagliani, Dixon, Bell, and Servia.
This will be the race down to turn 1. Who's going to be more brave, or somebody going to be able to take advantage of it? Dixon's got the better line,
and he'll take the lead. So Scott Dixon back out in front. Tagliani second. Oh, look out, car into the wall.
Turn 1, it's all behind
EJ Vizo is into the wall hard.
So that was our first double file restart.
And we almost made it.
And unfortunately for KV Racing, that is the second car for them that is out
today.
Takuma Sato was our first caution, and now the second for Venezuela's EJ Vizo. Out top and see what happened.
No room.
Can't do 3 wide going into 1.
And it's not the last lap of the race. The first restart. Quite frankly, we should know better.
Yeah, absolutely. That is uncalled for.
On board with Ryan Briscoe.
Listen to Briscoe, gets off the throttle. He sees it transpiring in front of him, does an excellent job getting through all that. And Eddie, you've been through that, I've been through that. Man, your heart rate is just going through the roof.
And you're on automatic. Your hands are... Oh, how about Marco? Oh, that is close.
Go low, go low, go low. Yellow. Good job.
Wow. That was great driving from Marco. That was very hard. He couldn't have been 2 inches away from that car.
Paper between the wheel.
3 wide going into turn number 1 at Indianapolis. It rarely works. EJ Vizo was okay, but unfortunately this would put an end to his 500. The race would resume on lap 33.
And we know the high line in 1 does not work today.
Although Dixon, the red car in front, got a great jump. Tags is going to try and make a move, go on the inside into 1, gets it done.
And look behind him. Whoa, Dario Dario trying to make the move as well, and he makes it stick. Does everybody make it through this time? It looks like they did. Now through 2. It's Tagliani, Dixon, Bell, Franchitti. And there is the 99. As Bell has slid back another spot.
The race would remain green for a while, to the point that the leaders had to make green flag pit stops. But as this was happening and the leaders were on pit road, the 88 of Jay Howard found himself in trouble.
They're filling it up with Sunoco fuel. No changes right now for Scott Dixon. And these slow stop guys, goes down in the way. Doc.
Oh, what a terrible situation for Tony Kanaan. We have trouble on the racetrack, guys.
Jay Howard has crashed, bringing out our 3rd caution here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So everybody that has stopped early obviously will take advantage of the waiver round. Here comes Dario Franchitti.
And the question is for Dario Franchitti, was inside the pit lane before it went yellow?
But he was at the end of his run. He had to come in.
Jamie?
And it's a normal stop. They're calling here 4 tires, no adjustments for Dario Franchitti, who was getting frustrated on those double file restarts, yelling that the drivers are blocking.
We'll see if league officials listen or agree with Dario. He comes back out onto the racetrack. Former Indy Lights champion.
There's the car on the apron. It gets a wiggle because the tire and wheel assembly is loose. Wheel nut probably not on there securely. He was doing everything correctly, getting back up on the gas, Eddie, and then when that happens there, and unfortunately he's going to make contact with the wall.
That was the best possible thing that could have happened, having lost that wheel, that he did not go up the track. If he would have gone up the track in front of those cars that were coming, he could have been hit by 3 of them.
Another wheel would fall off a car, this time Jay Howard's right rear, as he was exiting pit lane, ended up losing control and putting the car into the wall, heavily damaging the left front suspension, putting an end to his day. ESPN kind of screwed up big time here and actually missed the restart of the race, but nonetheless, it would get restarted on lap 70.
At the Indianapolis 500, where we have just gone back to green flag racing, and the side-by-side double file restarts, we got them 3 wide coming into turn number 3. That's Ed Carpenter in the 67. It sorts itself out, and everybody somehow makes it through.
And the car on the high side right now, Thomas Schechter in the 07. Eddie, you know he's aggressive. He drove for you back in 2002, and he's just got his foot on the gas.
That's Anna Beatrice.
And he does not give an inch.
That was Anna Beatrice in the 24. Right behind is Ed Carpenter.
The race would stay under green for the duration of a fuel run again, and the leaders would start to hit pit road on lap 98. Over the next 4 laps, all the front runners would hit pit road, and leader Scott Dixon would be on pit road on lap 100.
His way in. Let's see if they make a wing adjustment last minute here. They'll change all 4 tires, fill it up with Sunoco fuel. He's been the man to watch. They are making a front wing adjustment, and he bobbles on trying to exit his pit box. Still 8.4 second pit stop.
Right as Dixon was exiting pit road, the caution would come out once again for rookie James Hinchcliffe getting into the outside wall.
Road. Here comes his teammate Dario Franchitti, as Franchitti makes his way at 60 miles an hour down to the far end of pit road. Oh, in trouble. We have contact into the wall. The 06 of the rookie James Hinchcliffe. He has tagged the wall at the halfway mark of the 500, our 4th caution of the day.
Probably picking up 3 or 4 miles an hour going into 3, but obviously he was hung out when he was past going into that corner, and we've seen that there just isn't enough grip once you get out of the line.
Yeah, you heard Jamie talk about the wind change, and let's listen and watch. Ouch.
James would be okay, but this would put an end to his day. Dario Franchitti would bring the field back to green on the restart, and this would be the longest green flag run of the entire race. It would end up lasting 41 laps.
Whoa, they're gonna try 4 wide. Oh, that attenuator was so close. Does everybody make it through? Hang on. coming down the backstretch. It's Frankie. I got to catch my breath after that. I'm sorry. That was close, especially that one coming down the front stretch towards the attenuator.
Around lap 138, we would see green flag pit stops as Dario Franchitti would actually hit pit road on lap 138, having another cycle of green flag pit stops. But fortunately this time, the yellow flag would not wave in the middle of the cycle. Dario Franchitti would resume the lead after the green flag pit cycle, and if you wanted to see how hard he was pushing his car, check this out.
Even when you're leading right up to the wall, can you get paper in between the wall and the wheel, Eddie? I'm not too sure that you can.
Was right on board with him. This could get interesting.
That's called getting cozy to the wall, making a nice large arc, getting down to the inside of the turn. You do that because your car may have a little bit of understeer, but very impressive. He is driving as hard as he can, using up every inch of the road.
And right after the broadcast was done showing that replay, the next yellow would hit the speedway as Alex Tagliani would find the outside wall.
Trouble. Crash. The yellow is out. It's the 77 of Alex Tagliani, and the dream of Sam Schmidt Motorsports is over. The problem that they had cooling the oil has now led to this, as he becomes our sixth caution.
Get down. If we can, pull it down.
And there he is on the outside of J.R. Hildebrand.
This is just not the place to be today. I was talking before about the restarts because I think at the end, the one place you do not want to be turning into turn 1 and 2 will be the high side. And everybody's going to get very aggressive. And I have not seen one car make it around the high side today.
And that's been the issues, and that's why all the drivers were not in favor of the double file restarts. And as the marbles start to get onto the track, that's going to become more of an issue. Let the car get too high going through the turn.
You see the disappointment on Sam Schmidt's face.
A promising day for the pole sitter Alex Tagliani and Sam Schmidt Motorsports comes to an end, and he retires from the Indianapolis 500. As all race, no car was able to hold it on the outside line without losing a significant amount of time or just straight up getting into the outside wall. None of the leaders pitted under this caution, and Dario Franchitti would lead the field back to green on lap 155.
Dixon got hung out because the car in front of him was slow. He's now back in the mix and trying to defend.
And there goes Franchitti.
Dario gets a huge jump. Oriol Servia looked like the car that was slow to get off the bar, and it has cost everybody but Dario. Look at that, 3 wide through the corner. Down on the apron, this isn't going to work. Somebody's going to have to back up and take the warm-up lane.
I have never, ever seen that being done.
Was that the 98 of Dan Weldon? I could not quite see the number, but it sure did look like his paint scheme. There he is. No, he's back a little bit further there, so he has dropped back a few spots.
So these cars have been 2 abreast for the whole first lap after this restart.
And weaving in and out, and a guy on the outside we've seen the last couple of turns is Townsend Bell, and he's just going, pardon me, excuse me, and getting through.
And Graham Rahal, folks, is really taking advantage. There he is in the red, white, and blue 38. Move him up into the 4th position.
With so many people getting into the gray area of the track and putting it in the wall, on this restart, Thomas Scheckter went to the outside and passed several cars throughout the entire first lap, looking like a superhero on the outside lane. On the next lap of the race, Ryan Briscoe and Townsend Bell would make contact going into turn number 1, bringing out the caution once again.
It is the 99 of Townsend Bell and the 6 of Ryan Briscoe. He was the top running Penske car in 11th position. Bell was running in 10th. And now our 6th caution.
And we had just seen Townsend Bell in the 99 be very aggressive on that restart.
And I was there when here, let's watch what happens.
Now on the outside, Townsend Bell driving down towards the center of the turn, towards the apex, really trying to drive it down there just a bit too much, and ends up getting locked in with the 6th car of Ryan Briscoe. And Ryan Briscoe really was just unfortunately taken out in that scenario.
What Townsend Bell did not want to do, and he reacted maybe a little bit too severely. He didn't want to be too up high because he knew there was no grip. And he just charged down the bottom, and there's nowhere. There was nowhere for Briscoe to go.
Still there, still there.
For a moment, they almost saved it.
Almost doesn't work around here.
Under this yellow, we would see some interesting strategy. Some guys would stay out, some guys would pit, and then Dario Franchitti and JR Hildebrand would actually come in and top off before the restart. This would end up being a key part of the race. This would kick off a 36 lap run to the finish, with that being just outside of most drivers' fuel windows of making it comfortably to the end. Oriol Servia would lead the field back to green, but Graham Rahal would make quick work of him going into turn number 1.
Down the front straightaway. Rahal wants the lead. Look at the slicing and dicing through the field. And Rahal's going to take it. The last time that was said at this place was 1986.
Smooth and fast, smooth and fast.
Servia.
This car out there, just hit your marks, hit your marks.
Graham's radio, his spotter telling him, hit your marks.
This is when things would start to get really interesting. Scott Dixon would take the lead from Graham Rahal on lap 172.
Oh, he's under attack right now. Battle for the lead heading into 1. Here comes Scott Dixon. He retakes the lead. It'll be our 19th lead change between 8 different leaders.
And when a car passes you going into 1, you lose momentum, and Kanaan has to take advantage of that and get as close as he can to Rahal.
Scott Dixon would have to hit pit road with only 22 laps to go in the race. This would end up handing the lead over to Danica Patrick.
Second time in her IndyCar career. Danica Patrick, remember, she made her pit stop back on lap 159. She is still going to have to stop. Vince, what do you got on the fuel situation?
Danica Patrick is about 4 to 5 laps shy on fuel. She cannot make it to the end, certainly under green conditions, but she is out front, and they're trying to get her to push as far as she can, to build as much of a lead as she can, to give her a little bit of extra time to come in for that splash, as you see her father, TJ, trying to celebrate the fact his daughter is in first place.
She would end up leading for a total of 10 laps in the closing stages of the 500, before surrendering the lead to Bertrand Baguette, and then eventually coming to pit road. With only 4 laps to go, Bertrand Baguette would have to hit pit road, and he would end up surrendering the lead to JR Hildebrand in the closing laps of the Indy 500. JR Hildebrand played the strategy right, had enough fuel to make it to the end, so how did it go all wrong for him?
Is in hand. 2.5 miles.
Come on, baby, bring it home.
Keep going. The 23-year-old from Sausalito, California. Listen to the crowd cheer him on.
And how fitting for the National Guard car to win if he can indeed do that. Has he got enough fuel to make it to the end?
Half a lap. He's got half a lap to go, and he's the Indy 500 champion.
Panther Racing, oh so good. They finished second here, twice here. They come again through the final 2 corners. J.R. Hildebrand.
Careful of traffic.
He's got to get around the lap. Traffic. 100 years ago. No! He hit the wall. Just like Thomas Schechter. Just like Schechter. Dan Weldon is going to win the race.
Yeah, Dan!
That is unbelievable. Oh my goodness.
Weldon, after finishing second the last 2 years, wins when J.R. Hildebrand hits the wall coming out of 4, just as Schechter did in 2000.
What a tremendous finish. What a drive for Weldon.
JR Hildebrand looks to have the Indy 500 in hand, easily gonna get the win. As we saw throughout the race, cars get into the gray area and it's like they're on ice. They just go straight up into the wall. He smashes the outside wall in turn number 4. Keeps his foot in it to try to get to the start-finish line first, but Dan Weldon, who is in second place, sneaks by, and JR Hildebrand would have to settle for second place with the demolished race car instead of forever being known as an Indy 500 champion. Probably one of the most shocking Indy 500 finishes in the race's history. Definitely an embarrassing moment for JR Hildebrand, and definitely extremely heartbreaking. I honestly did feel bad for the guy when I watched this live. I couldn't believe what I saw. But that'll wrap it up for today's video. Thank you guys so much for tuning in as always. I really appreciate you. I hope you enjoyed this video. And make sure to hit the subscribe button for more IndyCar and motorsports related content exactly like this. I appreciate all the support, and I hope I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care, everybody.